Welcome, Mary. Mary Nunes. How are you?
Pretty
My
good.
name is Glenda. I'm from Glenda's Dragon's Den. This is LD. Welcome. We're so happy to be here and to have you, everyone, here with us. We have this superb special guest
Oh, you flatter me.
who is very talented,
Oh,
very
now I'm gonna
gifted,
blush. Nobody wants to see that.
very gifted, and one of the biggest hearts I've ever met.
Well, thank you. You've never said that to me.
I am speaking about Mary.
Oh, never mind.
Mary, how are you today?
Pretty good in yourselves.
Oh, just wonderful. The day was beautiful. It was sunny. It wasn't cold. For the Northeast, it was beautiful weather. The leaves are still out, so you have all that beautiful energy. It's just wonderful. So,
How wonderful.
um,
And then I was the end to that.
and yes, for those that don't know,
Or haven't been warned.
or haven't been warned. Yes, I would like to apologize in advance for whatever happens here.
Consider yourself warned.
I love it.
Oh,
I love it.
Mary, such a wonderful person. Thank you for being here with us
Thank
on
you.
Glenda's Dragon's Den on the Conscious Awakening Network.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Now
having me.
you're gonna turn it
Very
all over to her.
Oh, of course, I'm going to turn it over to her.
Okay, Mamacita, I go sleep now.
honored.
So, Mary, tell us about yourself. We're all interested.
All right. I am an author of two books. One is a personal account of my awakening, um, being a reluctant psychic since I was a little girl. Finally coming into what I have become so far with the help of all my ancestors and all the ascended masters because they have a big role on this with
Mhm.
spirit, um, with my higher self. And it's the book "If I Knew Then What I Know Now," because it's so appropriate with exactly how I feel about all the time I lost and I didn't use correctly, even though I was told you really need to do this. But we all have that stubbornness and that resistance. So that's what the book is about. It's also like um, a kind of workbook for people that are curious about what is going on with them. Am I going crazy, or am I, really going through this stuff? So it helps you along. We touch on a lot of subjects because it's what I went through. So I did the timeline so people could understand what it is that I went through, and hopefully it's helping people. I get some feedback. I don't get a lot of feedback because people come and go, and they're going through their own awakening, so they don't have the time. You really don't. You're doing so many things at the same time. But the feedback that I have gotten from a lot of people is that it's a book that does help them go through. It explains a lot. The other book that I did was Reiki for Me, which is the first children's level one Reiki book, and that's going really well. Parents, this is really for the whole family, um, and it's really geared towards teachers and parents to help kids. It also touches on a subject that is very important, which is sadness, prolonged sadness in children. And it helps parents and children alike to understand, even if they give themselves Reiki every single day, if there is prolonged sadness, they need to speak up, which is a part of healing as well. And then I also have three of my most favorite um, tarot cards. I have the fall collection. I have, which is they're very cheeky. And I have the angel collection. And I also have the newest, which is the shaman collection, which talks about a lot of different shamanic beliefs and gives a lot of information. I am now, after going through all this, in the shamanic path, well into the um, earth shaman, weaning myself out of that, teaching that, what I know, and going into the galactic shamanism, which is the next step for all of us.
Right.
Um, and that's where I am today. I love to teach. I love to do readings too, but I really really love to teach people um, how special they are, how divine they really are. It's not at all what we have been conditioned to believe. We're so much more than that, and
Mm.
So,
that's
Mary, did the cards in the book get you into all of this?
the what actually got me into all of this was my mom.
Oh,
Yeah, my
so please
mother.
tell us about that.
My mother was an incredible spiritualist. In the Cuban tradition, she was what they call an espiritista, which is a spiritualist. And she could actually, before we even really touched on remote viewing, my mother was doing that long before. And she could heal people with her hands, exactly what Reiki is all about, except she was not attuned because we didn't know at that time what Reiki was. We lived in
And
this
how
little,
old were you?
oh gosh, I was 6.
Oh, so
I
we're going
was,
back a couple of years.
oh yeah,
You've been doing this for a little bit.
Yes.
yes, yes.
Oh, great.
So, she was the one that taught us not to fear the dead. Just fear the ones that are alive, and taught us. She was labeled with schizophrenia because she saw Jesus at the foot of her bed when she was in school. And when she was in Cuba, you went to Cuba, I think, Monday through Friday, and then Fridays they would pick you up and take you home because you
Right.
lived in the school. And when the nuns found out, uh, that she saw Jesus, that's it. She got labeled, you know, with a mental disease.
Well,
72 electroshock later.
as an aside, my mother wasn't in Cuba, but she got labeled with that anyway for similar reasons.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
I have a history as an advocacy for mental health consumers because I bring that piece to it that,
There you,
just because you don't have that paradigm in your belief system doesn't mean they're crazy.
there you go. You're right. And you're right. You're
And
right.
I know about the going away because my mother also went away in Cuba
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, and sometimes she would even stay the weekend because
Yes.
in those times it isn't like now where you could just hop in a car and go and pick you up. They had to make arrangements and
Yes.
ask favors and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
sometimes the car was needed to do other stuff.
Correct.
So yeah,
Correct.
and thankfully my mother, for some, I think my grandmother told her not to say anything, so
Uh-huh.
she never mentioned the dead to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So but otherwise I am sure she would have been in the same boat,
Oh,
same
yeah.
way.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, the kind of life that she endured, but she always showed us the funny parts of schizophrenia. I mean, after 72 electroshots between the ages of 7 and 23, something got fried, right? At 7 years
Mhm.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just knowing that she still raised my sister and I perfectly well, and she did an awesome job, and she taught us to be strong, to live in truth and integrity, and just to move forward and not to care what other people said. um, but she showed us that fun part of having been labeled schizophrenia. So we're very thankful for that, very, very thankful, because
Well, it's a lot of strength that she was able to find the sunny side of that.
Right.
yes, absolutely.
So it's nice that she was able to model that strength for you.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
And speaking of tarot, I have your fall tarot
You
set.
do?
Yeah. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. And oh my God, Chicky, yes.
Yes.
Those are so cute.
Are those the cards you hide under the bed and you won't let me look at?
Yes.
Oh,
Let's just let him think those are the ones.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, hi.
not yet, but it's starting to look pretty good.
So, Mary, that last set that you just took out is shamanism, right?
The shaman.
Right. Now, I know we are both going into the galactic
Yes.
shamanism. And as a matter of fact, we're doing a show sometime in the spring that we're
Mm-hmm.
scheduled
Yes.
for. I don't think people quite understand what that means. So, would you like to elaborate a little bit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have the earth shamanism, right?
Hmm.
Which is what we bring in
Right.
to our lives. This is where we journey. This is where when we journey, we're actually in a different state of consciousness. The
Correct.
fact that shamans can actually do that, and they can journey through spiritual, um, through the spiritual realm, and they can actually go out into the field and leave their particle bodies, because this is a particle body, and move into that particular infinite um, field, which is a quantum field. And it you can look for papers and research everywhere online, and you're going to find them in great universities that have actually done MRIs and all that beautiful stuff on these shamans. When we have when we have journeyed enough, and now we're at this point where the human meat suit is now evolving, it's now ascending. What is there after the earth shaman? The earth shaman, at the end of it all, goes back into the rainbow bodies. We go back to become part of the creator. That is our gift. That is our thank you from the creator. Come back to me, be part of me. In the meantime, while we come back over and over and over when we reincarnate, we're just going back to our designated tribe with people that we already know, people that have gone through life, and we already know them when we come back. So think of that being an octopus, and they got their 8 arms, right? So every tribe is an arm. So we go into that one arm, and if we decide that we want to go back and continue our tour in this world, in this lifetime, and other lifetimes, but in a meat suit, we can do that. But once we have gone through and fulfilled everything that we decided we were going to do, then we go back into our rainbow bodies, into our luminous bodies, and as homo luminous beings, we go back into the actual creator. So we go back as part of the creator. Um, what comes after that? Well, what comes after that is being the shaman of the future. Again, here we're looking at more of here in the present, looking at what a quantum parallel existence would be. Well, if we journey and we receive medicine from our past shamans and our present shamans and our future shamans, that means that we are able to move past this reality and go into the other reality, which happens to be the galactic shaman, because we are part of the star system, we are part of the star nation. That is our next step. So, learning about galactic shamanism brings everything from the earth shaman into the galactic shaman, and then some. Then we start understanding more light codes, more light activation, more quantum energy information. We get to journey even further, understanding that there is no limit. There is no limit to galactic shamanism either.
That is so very true. You eloquently put it all together for us. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay!
So preaching to the choir is one thing, but in my work, and I was a board of director for a regional mental health association in New York, and then I was vice chair of resource development for Mahaney's, which was the coordinating body of all the regionals that worked with the state legislature to draft law for mental health consumers.
Good.
I've been debriefed by psychiatrists, psychologists, coaches, whatever, and so far no one has come up with a diagnosis. But how do you know, with all of this, that you are sane? because
I
people are going
don't.
to hear this and go, "Oh, that's just crazy talk. Your mother was, schizophrenic." So obviously, how do you know?
How do I know? How do I not know?
And
Um,
there it is, because most people who have mental illness never question it.
Correct. How do I not know? And you have to always run that check. I work with a social worker uh, um, that is a psychotherapist, and we're always bouncing back and forth because I want to make sure that I am level-headed. Listen, it is such a responsibility when you are talking, when you are bringing in science into your work. You better know what you're saying. You better know what you're doing. You better know what it is that you're delving into and working with. Because at any moment, you can lose it. And I've seen people that are in it. I've seen people go completely out of whack because they want to go the easy way out. They want to take it really quick, and they don't understand the responsibility of your body needs to keep up, your body needs to upgrade, your body needs to constantly be healing, because your brain is has its own universe, your body has its own universe, and you want to make sure that you're responsible enough to understand that you are actually teaching people that not always are there fully. But then again, what does it really mean to be there fully?
Mm.
What are we conditioning these people to, for us to expect them to do what? Because that's what we were taught. We have to see things, we have to learn to see things for what they really are. You've got the body, you've got the brain, you've got the spirit. And sometimes the body has not caught up. Sometimes the brain has not caught up. And sometimes the spirit is struggling to get these two to work. When you see that as a responsible spiritualist, you need to be able to make that decision to say, I'd like you to speak to a psychotherapist.
So is it fair to say that the litmus test would be ego? Because I've never met someone who works for greatest good that doesn't question themselves, that feels that they know everything, that they can, don't need to take the slow path, that they can
Yeah,
be reckless because they have all of this knowledge and all of this power. The
absolutely.
people that I feel I can trust are the ones that do question it and are humble and do have humility.
Hmm.
Is that your experience?
Absolutely. Um, ego, ego is, well, we got to really understand ego. Ego is your protective system. It is when we are in not a balanced state that we ask ego to do more than what it's supposed to. And then ego also brings fear because it doesn't want you to get hurt. So it will instill fear. And not only fear, but it will also give you I don't want to say the word illusion because I don't like the word illusion, um, but it gives you a false sense of security.
A warped perception?
Yes, yes, a very warped perception. And the biggest challenge I think that everybody needs to understand and get through, if you teach that you are just, what I teach people is, we're just a hollow bone. We are just a tool. We're not God. We're not the creator. We are not anything other than a tool. And you have to be humbled because if Spirit and Pachamama have decided to come together and use you as a tool, you need to be humbled because you need to be able to have something that does not clog that understanding from the heavens to the earth, because that's the only way that we can bring heaven to earth. And that is our uh, one of our main goals, to bring heaven to earth. But it
We're
has
called
to
to be
come
a
through us.
conduit.
Correct. So we are just the conduit. And you have to understand that we don't heal, we channel healing. So if you understand that, and you understand how wonderful and how fulfilling just being a tool is, then you understand that ego has no place anywhere in the work that you're doing. And if for any reason you start feeling that this is where you have to talk to people, you have to talk to people. You have to say, hey, listen, am I right? Am I wrong? I do that with everyone, anybody, even my own students. I ask them, do you feel this is what I'm doing? Because your students are going to be your greatest advocate and your greatest tool themselves to keep you in check. So yes, ego. No, ego is your protector. You grab it, you teach it, you remind it. Thank you very much. You thank it, and you
Yeah.
move it away. And then you have that beautiful, beautiful, clear channel, and you as the conduit to pass that energy through.
Wouldn't you say that's what keeps it from being a codependency? It's that symbiotic relationship of give and take with the teacher and the teachers, in the form of the students, and understanding that you're going to learn as well as teach, and so are they.
Exactly. And that's what you want as a teacher.
Absolutely.
Um, as a teacher, yes. Especially, you want your students to teach.
Yes.
And it isn't that they're going to teach. And this is the thing, you don't want them to teach what you taught them. You
Right.
want them to ascend with the information that you gave them so they can be better than you. So
Mm-hmm.
the next wave that they're going to teach is going to be better than you.
Correct.
And
That's
there's that humility piece.
Correct.
There's that humility piece that always, for me, is the litmus test between someone that's full of it and
yeah,
someone that's full with it.
yeah, 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 yeah. And that's
That's
what you want to look for, and that's what I tell everybody to look for. There are millions of teachers,
yeah.
but I think that there's just a small group of us that we know each other, that
Mm-hmm.
um, that teach with that understanding. That's the give and take. I'm going to
Right.
give you, right? I'm going to
Right.
give you what I'm going to teach you,
Yeah.
right? But you're going to take it. It isn't that you're going to give me back. I don't need anything back. I don't
Right.
expect anything back. What I expect is these beautiful minds and these beautiful hearts and souls that you're going to help. You're going to do better than me.
Mm-hmm.
That that gives me more joy than anything in the world. And it's just a few of us. Somebody
That's
here I know too.
ooh. I don't know who. But it's very true. When we teach, we do it so they could take whatever information we teach them and put their goodness into it, their blessings into it, whatever they gathered that they channeled or they spoke to their higher self or whatever, and ascend with it and keep it going. Because that is how we all heal.
That's it.
Because we heal them, they heal others, and eventually somehow it just keeps coming back around.
Yes, it does.
You
It
know,
truly, truly does.
yeah.
Yes, it
So
does.
it's to me it's a wonderful, wonderful way to be.
Make you
Now,
sleep at night.
yes, yeah. Except when they wake us up in the middle of the night
Well,
for
yeah.
whatever reason.
Um,
Yes, yeah. Let's not talk about that. Anyway, you say you work for or with someone. What
yes.
Where are they? Where are they?
It's MH Cares LLC with Michaela Hepburn. She is a psychotherapist. Uh, I can't. I have traced her energy. She has traced my energy. We are one of those families that belong on that tribe
Right.
on the for that octopus leg. That she is definitely, we are in each other's minds. Of what she does is she takes care of the psychotherapy and the holistic psychotherapy of the practice. I am the shaman and the teacher, the spiritual development teacher in the practice as well. We have an office here in Boynton Beach, Florida, and we go to the office. We see people live as well as Zoom because things are happening again and
Right.
people are wanting to go back into the Zoom system. But we work together. She gets the feel of who it is that may need a little bit of the spiritual healing, your regular auric pushes, your chakra balancing. Um, if we're working with some PTSD, we use the tuning fork and the biofield
Right.
energies. And then, of course, the shamanic with the retrievals and the illuminations and the harmony ceremonies, which really helps and makes a big difference with with the clarity that they gain the next week for their therapy session. For example, we do this thing called access bars. We run bars, which is here on the head, and there are different points on the head. And what we do is we use our fingers, which emit electromagnetic energy, and based on different positions of the head we are able to make the brain work in a way that it discards all old neurons and neural connections that no longer work, and make space for new ones based on the positions of the hands. And then when they go the next week, they go and get their therapy. It works because they go in there with such clarity, and it cuts down on the therapy time. So instead of having therapy for a year, you're cutting down for 6 months, maybe 8 months the most,
Mm-hmm.
and it works great. So it's a great modality. It's what people call somatic um, treatment. It is not covered by insurance, unfortunately, but if it would be very regulated. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how we all feel about that, but but it works. It just works, and it's a wonderful journey that I'm I'm in with her. We're just almost finished with our Mastering Harmony series for Udemy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is a course where we are able to decipher what works, what doesn't, and based on meditations and mantras and um, routines that we give, in the series, people are it's working because we're doing it live with our clients, so it is working, and it's going to be there soon in Udemy.
Oh,
Now, just
can't
as a
wait.
point of clarification,
Yes.
you always work with the client's consent. You never usurp free will
No,
in any of this work. Is
absolutely
that
not. It's
accurate?
very important. It's very important that you get the client's consent,
Yeah.
because that is the only way that healing would even begin to work. The client needs to be present, and consent comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a matter of information, there was a legislator in New York back about 20 years ago wanted consumers to be able to sign off on their own ECT.
Uh-huh.
And I explained to them on two levels how ridiculous that was, that anyone that could possibly benefit from such a barbaric practice was in no position to consent for it. But
I
nevertheless,
Yep.
so so with all of this, you also do work outside of this in recovery work, don't you?
Recovery in what?
Um, Lost things, articles, people, things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I do. Um, it we had a lot of that a few years back. After During COVID, not so much. It was after things started to calm down with COVID that we started receiving more and more requests from the other side for help to move forward, because a lot of these souls didn't even know that they had already passed.
Right.
Um, and some of them hadn't even been buried. It wasn't until months later that we found out that there were places that didn't even have where to put them, put their bodies and lay them to rest.
Mhm.
Um, that I remember years back. Um, there are, if you ask me to remember, I don't remember them all, but there have been cases where there have been missing people. There was, I remember one, it was a live abduction. Um, and my students and I, we were part of finding the person's cousin, because, and this was all on Facebook. We were looking for that person. All my students were spot on. They knew exactly what was going on. They felt the water, they felt the rocks, they felt the grogginess, and all this was confirmed after the person was actually found. We were able to guide the cousin that was, the one that was asking for the help. She was able to guide the authorities to where it was that we all thought that she was going to be at. And yes, she was. Yes, she was. And that was all live.
Mhm.
And after that, there have been several car crashes, people that have lost their lives, um, people that we have been that they have approached me asking, can you please ask my mom how she died, and you know if she's here or whatever. One even telling me she was just a hoot. She didn't like her hairdo. What were they thinking? That was not her. She didn't like her hairdo, and where the heck were her shoes? And then we found out that you don't get buried with shoes. What's up
Right.
with that? It's like, why not the shoes? What?
Well, in certain disciplines, you just get buried in a shroud. So it all depends on, what custom is.
Oh,
But I know both you and Glenda have a tremendous variety of ways to help people.
yes.
So if someone is looking for help, whatever kind of paranormal or shamanistic help they have in mind, I'm sure if it was something that was out of your comfort zone, you'd be able to refer them. But how would they get to you to
Um,
request help?
they can contact MH Cares. We are at www.mhcarestherapy.com. We have a chat there that I'm on every day, making sure everything's okay. They can always call the office at 561-777-8345. They can definitely visit my Facebook page, which is under Moira's Light. Um, Basically, I'm there. I'm on Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I'm not too sure about TikTok. I think
Well,
it's a
you're
little bad for
busy.
me.
You're
Huh?
busy. You're
I'm busy. I don't have
available when
time for
you're
that.
available, and they can find you if they want to. I just wanted to
Absolutely.
make sure people knew how to reach out.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, if there's something that I do not uh, find that I am guided to be the person, because you got to understand that too. Maybe I'm not that person for that person. Maybe I am the person that's supposed to find the person for that person. Being that the catalyst, I'm more than happy to refer them to people like Glenda and Mariana, whoever it is that I know that would be able to help them. But yes, absolutely.
Yes, sometimes it's not for us.
No.
And that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
So all of this since you were 6 years old, and now you're at least 26. You've
Oh,
been doing this for a while. Uh, this is what has led you to put down some of this wisdom
yes.
into these books, and with the tarot. Um, what's your definition of what tarot does? Because everybody that doesn't know or do tarot has, I think, a negative connotation of what that is. What
Yes, of
is
course.
your take on how tarot works?
Tarot's okay. So after you take, and as a teacher, and I'm sure that Glenda's going to appreciate this as well, and you as well. The idea is that we all start with tarot, because tarot has, again, a way of opening up your spiritual space, and then your spiritual helpers get closer because they see that you want a communication. You are opening up this wonderful way of communicating, whether it's tarot, whether it's the dowsing rods, which we played around with the other day. um, Tarot opens up your spiritual awareness, and it brings in your guides even closer. What the main thing is, when you end up going into shamanism, yes, there's ritual, absolutely. But can you do without them? Yes. Because ultimately, this is practice. This is practice so that you can sit and you can do a reading, and you can speak with spirit, and you can speak to the dead right in front of the client, because ultimately the only tool that you need is you. You are that tool. And when you are able to just do it, and you understand that it is only because you are that conduit, you have that conversation, you have that open channel, and you fear nothing, because you already know that you've done everything that you needed to do in during your awakening and into your ascension, that has cut all the negative energies from being able to reach you. And the only thing that you're able to just channel is truth and integrity. This is just the beginning. This is the one that opens you up and teaches you how to speak, how to connect. Then, when you're done with all the play fun stuff, all your toys, you can put them away.
And to that, I have a personal challenge with a little thing called a Ouija board. How do you feel about Ouija boards?
Well, if you're going to play with a Ouija board, you better know how to create your sacred space. You've got to know, okay? You
I
just
didn't
don't
see that in
buy
the
it.
instructions.
No, that's the bad part. They don't bring you instructions, not that way.
Right.
And what
Exactly.
happens is, if you are not at a point, you're not at a level of enlightenment that whatever portal you're going to open with your portals, because our bodies have portals: eyes, ears, nose, mouth. Not only that, but our chakras are also portals. If your kids don't know this, what do you think is going to happen? So, ignorance on the part of parents
Right.
also plays a part. And not only ignorance, but irresponsibility. You need to know if your kid is doing this, number one. Number two, you need to teach them. If you're going to play this, then you need to take a course.
Yeah.
You really do. You got to take a course to shoot a gun, to have a concealed weapon. You have to take a course to drive a car. You have to
Correct.
take courses for all that. Will take a course on how to use a Ouija board. Me personally, it does not call me. I don't need it at this point. I don't think I ever did. Um, I played it once and it was boring to me. It was nothing that I
You're
it
like me. You
wasn't.
got answers faster just asking.
I just went
Direct,
direct to the source.
direct connect.
Yeah, I went directly to the source, but there is responsibility on everything. That's why
Exactly.
you want to learn how to read the tarot, take a course.
Exactly. And
Take a
that's
course.
what
Do it
my
right.
students are probably hating me because I give them too much homework. But
Yes,
when they come back for the next lesson, they're like, okay, now we see what you meant and we understand. And even all of them are opening up.
exactly.
They're
That's
opening up.
that's one of the things that I teach is demonology.
Right.
I teach
Yeah.
demonology, I teach angiology. Demonology, why would I teach something? I had someone ask me, why do I have to learn to read, to learn demonology? I don't want to do that in the course. I'm like, okay, it's your prerogative. It's there, if you need it in the book, it's going to explain it to you, but you can bypass that. Years later, it was like, boy, I really needed to read that because she did not know what she was up against.
Hmm.
And you need to know what you're up against.
to be
Correct.
able to remediate it.
Right.
Absolutely. To be
Yeah.
able to identify it. Once you identify it, and especially especially when you're dealing with students, you need to identify so that you are able to then go around, take it out of the equation, because everything is energy. Everything is energy, and it's got an equation, it's got a formula. It needs to be removed. And the only way you're going to know is you need to know what demon it was. You need to know what, even if it did get to that point, what if it's not? What if it's masking and
Right.
it's not? Why are you going to go through the whole thing and bring more stuff in it? No, you need to be able to identify, you need to be able to know exactly how to remove, how to deflect, how to transmute. That way, your student or anybody else that
Right.
you're helping is going to have a clean vessel.
So is
And
it clear to say that if a child is playing with a Ouija board and is able to open a portal with the energy of the group that they have gathered, or even if they're gifted by themselves,
mhm,
that they need to know and manage whatever comes through that portal because it's not necessarily who you're trying to communicate with.
no,
And
exactly.
if they don't know how to do that, it's probably not good to use that prop because that's all the board really
It's
is
a
a
prop.
prop that focuses the intention to open the portal. Is that fair to
Correct.
say?
It is fair to say, furthermore, these lesser energies know when it's a child. A child has great light. A child has their innocence that shines through any darkness. And of course, it is going to attract. Are we in a day and age where something as evil could come in that moment. No, that person is not going to attract that. And it isn't so much that a child would open a portal, it's not even the child at all that opens the portal, which is worse, because if it were a child, then we're looking at a childlike energy that might come through. But when you see that it's something more uh,
Yep.
advanced than what a child could ever bring through, then you know that it isn't the child opening the portal. Remember, that child has a lot of helpers,
Right.
and the protection goes to the child. The thing will open up the portal, whatever lesser energy is lurking, and they're lurking everywhere, will do it. And there are a lot of faux demons out there.
Oh,
There really
yes.
are. That
Yes.
they're nothing.
Right.
So you have to be able to identify that. Should a child be playing with a Ouija board? Not unless they know how to use it. Not unless there's an adult present that knows
Exactly.
how to use it.
And, just like you said, you have to know what it is in order to identify it and take care of it whatever way it needs to be taken care of.
Immediately.
And, a lot of people think it's fun to go into places and stir things up. And what they don't realize is that you may be thinking you're stirring up one thing, but you are feeding
Feeding another.
something else that's
Yes,
a lot more energetic and
absolutely.
a lot more chaotic. And it could already be in demon stage
Yes,
or just at the edge. And
just at
with
the
that,
edge.
right. And with that feeding, boom,
That's it.
you know, yeah,
You got something brewing. You've got something brewing, something worth um worth looking at,
right.
especially in we're so close. Even though we're at war, even though so many things are happening around us, we get fed the bad parts. We're not getting fed all the good parts, right? There's so much
Correct.
more good happening in the world, but we're not getting that information. And there's a reason for that. It's all programming. And
Mhm.
not only from here, but programming from the lesser energies that can still um, get to some people.
Yeah.
When we understand as a collective that we can actually change all of that, then who needs a Ouija board? Who needs to do any of that? We can actually
And
just
that's
sit in the room.
ultimately how I feel about that.
Yep.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to bring out?
I think we touched on everything. I can't think of.
Where can we find your books and your
You can
tarot
find them on
cards?
Etsy, Etsy.com under Moira's Light. You can find me under Moira's Light. Everything is
Okay,
under
can you
Moira's
spell
Light.
Moira? Because we don't
Yeah.
always spell it the way you do.
Moira apostrophe SLIGHT.com. There it is. Shaja just
There
put
it
it.
is.
And
Thank
that's my
you.
website. Yes. You get better deals at Etsy. So when you go to Etsy, you'll find Moira's Light.
Right. This is
I'm all
it's
for a better deal.
Yes, always.
Linda will tell you I look for the deals.
Yes.
I'm a big dealer.
Oh, I
Well,
love it.
that doesn't sound good.
No,
no, that doesn't sound good
no,
at all.
no.
And that's where I apologize, didn't I?
Yes,
Okay.
they were one.
I see that there are people here. I see them. Oh my
Uh,
God, they just started moving in.
uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, I can see them on the side.
Yes,
Oh,
all the chat finally came in.
yes,
Um,
Talk
so
amongst
so
yourselves.
we appreciate all of you and love you all, but we had not seen the chat until now. We have been
yes,
so busy with such a great conversation and discussion that we kind of lost the chat somewhere. So
yeah.
we apologize for that.
Oh my God, look, everybody's there. I love it.
So
Oh,
Mary, a lot of people do know that you and I and Mariana do have another show together.
Yes.
And what people don't understand is that we talk among ourselves, and we've been talking among ourselves so many times that we just decided, you know what, we should make this a podcast.
Yes. Yes.
And
And it's
what's the name of that
wonderful.
show?
And
Because if you're going to tease the show,
okay, the name of that show
got to teach her
is
everything.
it's Three
Three
Witches and
witches.
a What?
What?
What? Yes.
What?
Yes. It's so
Uh,
much fun.
and we're also on Conscious Awakening Network. So,
Yes, we are.
um, any last words of wisdom, Mary?
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. I stand by um the the very first communication I had with Archangel Michael, which terrified me the first time because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see a psychiatrist right now. And I did, and he was like, I there's nothing wrong with you. You just keep talking to him. He's listening. I was like, okay, great. Um, he said, follow the path of least resistance because the less you resist, the easier your flow. When I understood that, and I was able to say, you know what, that's what I'm going to do because I resisted all my life being a psychic. I resisted it. I didn't want to be my mom. I didn't want to be labeled that. I was so afraid of being false. I was going to a Catholic school. Can you imagine me telling the priest, by the way, my mother says dead people, and so do I. Um, how I felt like I was a hypocrite, um, and that came through. And ever since, I followed it, and it has changed my life completely. I stopped resisting who I am and that I am part of the divine. I am his creation. And how humbling could that be? Once I did that, that's it. And I wish everyone would understand that and would follow that because I think it would make a change in their lives.
Oh, definitely.
You mean the one who dies with the most toys doesn't win?
No, not this
Nah.
time.
Gosh. Not that I'm really up there with the rest of them, but I had dreams. I had goals.
But yeah, there's a lot of others, but it's too many. But that one was the very first one
Right.
that I got, and then after that it was smooth sailing, just smooth sailing.
Oh, you get the easy one. I get up and walk.
Well, wait a minute. How old were you?
When I got that, I was in my 30s.
Oh,
I had just had my son, and I had lost all my spinal fluid thanks to three epidurals that didn't take, two spinals that didn't take, and I had to be put under. I woke up for that,
Mm,
how
and I
old were
couldn't
you?
walk.
I was 2 years old.
Oh, no wonder you didn't walk.
There you go. But yeah, I was in my 30s with my son. And again, I was that reluctant psychic. I just did not want. I wanted nothing with that.
Well, unfortunately, time is almost up, Mary.
Oh yes.
I love you. You always are such a wise person,
Thank
wise woman.
you.
And I'm wise, but it's kind of distilled down to one particular body part.
So many blessings to everyone. We thank you for being here, and we hope to see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Awakening Network, Conscious Awakening Network.
Conscious,
Thank
conscious aware.
you. Love yous all. Bye.
Bye
Have a
bye.
great night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you,
Blessings.
Mary, again. It's wonderful always.
Thank you for
Bye.
having
Thank
me.
you, everyone
Bye.
that joined us.
Yes. Come
Yes,
back.
Come back.
Come
soon.
back.
Yes,
Shane,
come back
come
more
back.
often.
Come back, Shane.